Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Barbara and today we're going to be going over the area of life where you may experience instability in or maybe have in the past based on the house that you have Aquarius in. Now, this video is also going to resonate for the house that Uranus is in. Now, it's also important to note that the Aquarius energy, of course, means many different things. Same thing with the Uranus. Uranus rules Aquarius. So it can mean many different things. It doesn't just mean instability, but for today's video, we're just looking at the instability aspect of the Aquarius/Uranus energy. Now, another thing to also note, just because this can potentially mean that there can be instability in this area of life, it doesn't mean that it will play out this way. You guys always have to look at the rest of the natal chart, what else is going on in there, and maybe it was for one period of time in your life, maybe it was in the earlier part of your life and now you don't experience it anymore, maybe you've neutralized the energy. But overall, we're just going to be looking at the general idea of what it means when we go through Aquarius through the houses / also Uranus through the houses as well. It's going to apply to Uranus through the houses as well. Now, another thing that I want to mention as well is that in the Placid tropical system, sometimes we can have something called an interception. So sometimes you might have Aquarius occupying two houses. Let's say that is part of the interception and then another energy is intercepted in there. Or you could have Aquarius swelled up in your chart and Aquarius is intercepted and it is still in a house, but it's intercepted in that particular house. I do have a video explaining this in more detail. It's going to be in the description box below if you guys would like to learn even more about interceptions. I personally find that when you do have an intercepted energy taking place in your natal chart, there's even more of a focus on this energy now. Now, I'm not a psychologist, but everything does stem from the home and the original two caregivers. So what tends to happen with intercepted energies is that when you're younger, the parents may have not nurtured this energy within you. Maybe they were different than you. Maybe they were doing their own thing. Maybe they were busy. Honestly, can manifest many different ways. So this is why there is more of a focus on this energy now, because this energy is still within you, but there isn't really an outlet for the energy. So either it gets suppressed, and I find when the energy gets suppressed, especially in terms of an interception, it goes into the shadow of the energy first because it still needs to come out, or it can go into the excess of the energy. I call this the pendulum swing. You kind of go through the extremes of the energies until you neutralize somewhere in the middle and you neutralize that energy within. Now, what's interesting with Aquarius intercepted overall, regardless of the house, usually this can also symbolize that maybe your individuality and the sense of unique self, like to be your own person and to be different and to be unique, could have been suppressed as well when you were growing up. So those are a few meanings for interceptions. Of course, check out the video in the description box below if you do happen to have Aquarius intercepted in your natal chart. And once again, this is in the Placid tropical system. Now, another thing that I do want to mention is that today we're going to be going over Aquarius and the instability energy connected to Aquarius/Uranus. It doesn't mean that, you're always going to have instability in this area, although you might, absolutely. But there could be other factors in your natal chart that could help you ground this energy, or maybe you grow out of it, which in my own opinion, it's ultimately the end goal to transcend the natal chart. So it's better to have it brought to your awareness, clear the energy within, see how you can neutralize it. Maybe you've already neutralized it for yourself. Maybe you have a natal chart where it just played out that way on its own. So that's important to keep in mind. It doesn't mean it's always going to be the area of instability, but we're just going to be looking at what it could potentially mean, this energy. So let's go ahead and jump into it, starting with Aquarius in the first house. So if you have Aquarius in the first house, which is an Aquarius rising, the area that you guys might feel the most instability in is actually going to be through the self. So what does this mean? I mean, it could be within your personality. It could be certain characteristics that you might have. Overall, you might kind of give off that impression maybe to other people that you could be quote unquote unstable. It doesn't mean unstable as an individual, although it could just mean like maybe you're not consistent, for example, or maybe you kind of change your mind at the last minute, or maybe you switch up on people at the last minute. Things of this sort, kind of giving off an unstable vibe. It could be sometimes even that maybe you give off an energy of not being reliable because of this instability energy, because maybe you change your mind a lot. Maybe you decide to do things at the last minute or switch to do something else at the last minute. So this is how it could come through when it comes to the sense of self. Now, also, if we look at it in terms of, let's say the first house is the physical appearance, well, in this particular case, maybe let's say your physical appearance gives some sort of unstable energy. So what could this be? Maybe you change the way you dress a lot. Maybe you always do something different or something of that sort, because the instability energy doesn't have to be the traditional meaning of instability. This could also translate to inconsistencies as well. So these are a few ways that this energy can manifest for those of you who have Aquarius in the first house. If you have Aquarius in the second house, the area of life where you might feel or experience instability in is going to be in the area of finances. So what does this mean? Well, for example, let's say you guys are a freelancer or an entrepreneur, or maybe you guys are a real estate agent, or maybe you're even an actor or an actress. Having Aquarius in the second house could mean that your income isn't necessarily consistent. Now, keep in mind, it doesn't have to be a negative perception on this. It doesn't mean that, you're not going to have a stable income throughout life. It could just mean you work at one of these jobs, maybe where you get a lot of money at once. Then you go through a period of time, perhaps where you're not working, and then you get another gig, and then you get another large sum of income or something of this sort, okay? So basically, it symbolizes instabilities when it comes to income, or maybe even what you guys do for work, or how you guys get your money when you have Aquarius in the second house. Also, this is going to resonate for people who have Uranus occupying that second house as well. Also, if we look at the second house in terms of self-worth, maybe there's going to be some sort of instability connected to self-worth. Now, I always connect the energy of self-worth to money and, of course, the feminine energy within. So it's like, perhaps if you guys don't have the amount of money that you guys want, it's going to directly affect your self-worth as well. And then it's kind of like a chicken and the egg type of situation, because it's like you need to have a strong sense of self-worth to make perhaps more money. So it could manifest in this way as well. But overall, in a nutshell, it's going to be inconsistencies when it comes to your money, finances, and your income. It doesn't have to be a negative perception on this, although it could manifest in that way as well. It could just be a certain type of work, or the nature of the work that you guys do is going to bring through inconsistent income. So these are a few things that can take place for those of you who have Aquarius occupying the second house. If you have Aquarius occupying the third house, or even Uranus occupying the third house, in terms of the instability energy, you might feel the most amount of instability, let's say when it comes to your mind or your intellect or even your communication style. Now, it's interesting with the Aquarius in the third house, or even Uranus in the third house energy, or even sometimes Uranus aspecting Mercury as well. This could resonate for people who have that too. What I've noticed with these people is there tends to be some sort of break in terms of their schooling or education. It's the early schooling, so the elementary school years. So for example, what do I mean by break? It doesn't mean necessarily that you took some time off of school, although absolutely could manifest in this way. It could be something like, let's say you guys moved schools, or you guys shifted schools a lot during that period of time, where it could have affected your schooling or your education. Like there could have been something that took place that created this instability energy, and it affected your early schooling. Now, the third house can also deal with friends. So having Aquarius or Uranus in the third house, or even the Mercury-Uranus aspect as well, there could be some sort of instability that took place with friends, okay, in the earlier part of your schooling, once again, because the third house deals with the elementary school years. So for example, maybe you guys moved and you guys lost all your friends, or maybe you guys changed schools and you guys lost all your friends. So it could be something of this sort, and now it could affect throughout your life your friends overall, if that makes sense. So let's say like having a friend group or something of that sort, there could be inconsistencies here, or instability energy. Like that's another thing to keep in mind as well with like instability. Instability could also bring through inconsistencies as well. It doesn't have to be the traditional explanation of instability, although it could in this video, yes, but also the instability energy could be inconsistencies as well. So it could manifest in any of these realms, like I mentioned. So speaking, communication, schooling is the biggest one that I've noticed here, the early schooling, okay, so the elementary school years, and then friends during that period of time, and then also that could perpetuate throughout your life. So these are a few ways that the energy could manifest in terms of instability for those of you who have Aquarius occupying your third house. If you have Aquarius occupying your fourth house, or Uranus in the fourth house, or even if you have Moon Uranus aspects taking place, well, in this particular case, the area where you guys might experience or feel the instability could be within the home. That could be the biggest one here. It could also be the mother as well. And then in turn, your own internal feminine energy within, or again, the dominant feminine role in your life, or whoever took on that role, or with feminines in your life, people who operate out of that feminine energy, you could experience this instability energy through this person. So what does this mean? There could be inconsistencies. For example, it's very important for kids when they are growing up. And by the way, I'm not a psychologist. That's always one of my disclaimers. These are just my own observations, but it's very important for children to have some sense of stability. Of course it is. So sometimes what might happen is, let's say the parent says one thing and then the parent changes their mind. It brings through this inconsistency energy, which can then in turn trigger that instability energy within, and that can actually trigger the root chakra, but that's gonna have to be a different video for a different day. So for example, in terms of the mother, okay, having Aquarius in the fourth house, or even Uranus in the fourth house, or even Moon to Uranus aspects, it doesn't have to mean that she was fully unstable as an individual, although it could manifest in this way. It could be quote unquote instability in terms of like inconsistencies in her behavior. So for example, she told you one thing, then she switched up, or maybe she promised you something, didn't execute that promise, or it's like she said we're gonna do this, and then you guys like switched to do something else. Like this inconsistency energy kind of brings through that instability energy, which then actually triggers your root chakra. But like I mentioned, that's a different video for a different day. So that's kind of how the energy could have been expressed, let's say through the mother. Now, of course, she could have been unstable herself. Maybe she was emotionally unstable. Or again, whoever took on this dominant feminine role in your life, yes, it could be this. It could also be inconsistencies in terms of, let's say you guys moved around a lot. It could manifest in this way as well. I've seen that happen a lot. So for even an Aquarius moon individual, so Aquarius in the 4th house, Uranus in the 4th house, Aquarius moon, like I mentioned, and even moon to Uranus aspects, all of these people could have experienced instability within the home. So the home overall could have been unstable, okay, and like the vibe inside the home, or maybe you guys moved around a lot. So now your stability, quote unquote, is actually created through instability. So a lot of the time, these people are going to have a hard time having that traditional stable home is really what it is when they grow up, because they're so used to, let's say, either moving around or having instability when it came to the home. So they kind of develop almost this like nomadic spirit, okay? So that's that energy is really what it is, and that's where it could potentially root from. I'm sure there could be other roots of the energy as well, but that's the biggest one that I've noticed for this energy too. So instability overall when it comes to the home. Now for you guys as well, your own emotional nature could also have some instability energy connected to it. Like you could be unstable when it comes to your emotions or inconsistent, okay? So sometimes I look at the instability energy as inconsistencies as well. So it could be this, but of course it depends on the rest of the energies in your natal chart, and it depends also what's going on with your moon sign and the other energies overall and the aspects and all of these things to really see what's going on with the emotional nature. But if we're looking at just Aquarius in the 4th house, so Aquarius in the 4th, Uranus in the 4th, Aquarius moon, moon to Uranus aspects, they could bring through this energy within an individual overall. So these are a few ways that this energy could manifest for those of you who have Aquarius in the 4th house. If you have Aquarius in the 5th house or Uranus in the 5th house, well, in this particular case, the area of life where you guys may experience instability in could be in the area of love, dating, and relationships. So for example, when it comes to dating and, going out on dates, or maybe the people that you guys date, usually the 5th house is more so like the surface level type of dating, like the fun types of dating. Well, there could be some sort of inconsistencies or instability energy connected to this. It could be connected to your overall inner child and your creativity. So these people could actually be really creative, the Aquarius in the 5th house, Uranus in the 5th house individuals, because of the fact that they're going to get a lot of these ideas, these eccentric ideas. But here is the thing, when an individual is an artist, you can't really force it, because you can't really force when you're going to get inspired over something to create the art. And that's the struggle, because that could bring through instability. For example, let's say you guys are an artist, it could bring through quote unquote instability, or like even inconsistency energy as well. Like sometimes I connect the instability energy to inconsistent energy as well. So for you guys, let's say you're an artist, there could be inconsistencies or unstable energy connected to your art or your creations or what it is that you are creating. Because again, you never know when you're going to get inspired. Sometimes you wake up from a dream at 3 a.m., boom, the idea comes through. So it really depends, but it could manifest in this way. Now, the other way this energy could also manifest could be quote unquote instability or inconsistencies when it comes to your children. So for example, your kids might be very quote unquote unstable. When I say unstable, yes, they could maybe be like that in their personality, but they could also maybe be very erratic, all over the place. You never know what to expect with them. Like it could bring through this energy as well. They will definitely always keep you on your toes when you have Aquarius in the 5th house, and if you so choose to have children, or maybe you already have kids when you are tuning into this video. But that's basically the idea here. I can even see this manifesting into, let's say you guys are older and you have Aquarius in the 5th house, and maybe you have kids already. Like I could see this quote unquote as instability in terms of like maybe the kids don't visit you on like a consistent schedule. You guys never know when they're going to pop up and knock on your door kind of thing. So that's like the nature of the Aquarius energy. It's kind of like, yes, unstable in terms of the traditional sense, like it could bring through instability in that way, yes, but it's also quote unquote unstable in terms of like, you never know what to expect with this energy. Also, it's like, it could really switch up like in the last minute sometimes. It could bring through inconsistency. Like it's not really a dependable energy, the Aquarius energy, for this reason. Even though it is a fixed energy, that's just the nature of the Uranus. Until this energy, you can kind of look at it as like even matures, or maybe there's other things taking place in your natal charts to kind of ground this energy. But if it's just like Uranus we're looking at, the Aquarius energy, yes, it could absolutely manifest in any of these ways. So these are a few things that could take place for Aquarius in the 5th house. If you have Aquarius occupying your 6th house or Uranus in the 6th house, the area where you guys might experience quote unquote instability in could be the area of health. It could maybe even be your diet or what you guys eat. There's going to be some sort of instability taking place here. So what does this mean? Well, perhaps there's going to be something going on, let's say with your health, where it's like you guys might not necessarily be able to pinpoint like what exactly is going on. So for example, I could see this manifesting into, for example, within women, inconsistencies in terms of their menstrual cycle. I could see it manifesting like this, or it could be maybe some other type of health thing that's taking place where it's like you guys can't really pinpoint or narrow it down. Like for example, maybe it's like a digestion thing and you guys can't figure out what's the food that's causing the issue. Like this is what I mean, because it's like maybe you guys try to do a process of elimination, but sometimes it works with certain foods and then like other times you can eat that food. So I'm sure you guys kind of catch the drift here in terms of how this could manifest in terms of like instability, quote unquote, because it's like, yes, it could be instability in the traditional sense, but it could also be instability in terms of like inconsistent energy as well. Like that's sometimes how I see instability energy. So it could be in the area of health. Now, the 6th house also can deal with your routines. It can also deal with work and of course like colleagues and also pets as well. So for example, with Aquarius in the 6th house or even Uranus in the 6th house, maybe you guys have an inconsistent routine or like a quote unquote unstable routine. So for example, let's say you guys work at a job where you guys might not be able to get a stable sleep cycle. So for example, let's say the shifts change every day and it's like it's not the same shift maybe for the entire week or something of that sort, and then that creates some sort of instability in terms of your sleep. I'm sure you guys are getting the idea here, and not just your sleep, so that's then connected to health, but then that could also bring through instability in terms of your routine. So for example, let's say you guys want to do a specific class, let's say it's a gym class or a yoga class, or let's say it's a Pilates class, like whatever it is, let's say you guys want to do it after work, but you guys can't because maybe also you guys work at a job where maybe you guys are on call. Let's say it's this type of quote unquote instability or inconsistency. Now, not everybody would be able to work these types of jobs. You guys probably could because you're used to it, but for other people, it might bring through anxiety energy for them, because a lot of the time when people feel the instability energy where you can't really like depend on the particular thing, you know, that can bring through anxiety because you don't know what you're waiting for example. So it could happen through a transit as well. Like there could be a period of time where, you know, let's say Uranus is transiting the 6th house or something of that sort, where it's like, again, you're working at these types of jobs where maybe you guys don't know what the schedule is going to be. Maybe every week is changing and you guys don't know until the last minute. Maybe you guys work on call, or you guys, you know, don't know when your shifts are going to be. Like something of this sort could take place. So yes, there could be inconsistency when it comes to work. It could be inconsistent jobs overall. So what does this mean? So it's like maybe you guys work for a period of time, or maybe you guys do seasonal work or something of that sort, or it's like you guys are constantly trying to find jobs because your jobs are not consistent or they're ending, or maybe it's like contract work. So I'm sure you guys get the drift here, but also because of this inconsistency in the schedule, it's going to also disrupt your routine as well when you have this energy. Now, again, because it's in your charts, you guys might vibe with that because you could be used to this energy. Let's say somebody who doesn't have Aquarius in the 6th or any of these energies that I mentioned, like Uranus in the 6th as well. It might not necessarily work for them, but it works for you guys because it's in your natal charts, and it could have been the way that you guys always worked, okay? So it could be something of this sort, but I'm sure you guys get the idea here. So these are a few things that can take place for those of you who have Aquarius occupying the 6th house. If you have Aquarius occupying the 7th house, so this is going to resonate for Aquarius in the 7th, Uranus in the 7th, Uranus, Venus aspects, or if you have an Aquarius descendant, which is technically Aquarius in the 7th house. Basically, in this particular case, your relationships are going to be inconsistent is really what it is. Now, in this video, we're just looking at Aquarius energy in terms of instability / inconsistency, which I find inconsistency brings through instability. Of course, the Aquarius energy can mean many different things as well, but in terms of instability, you guys might experience instability when it comes to your relationships, your friendships, your romantic relationships. It could even come through in terms of your business partnerships as well. So any sort of interpersonal relationship, you guys may experience some sort of quote unquote instability in this area. So this can manifest a myriad of different ways. It could even be rooting from, let's say, early sort of childhood experiences where maybe you guys moved around or something of that sort, where you didn't have an established friend group. So now when you guys are older, it could just perpetuate throughout your lives. But overall, like maybe your partners or the people that you date, like they're not consistent. Maybe you're not consistent with them. So this is basically the area of life where you guys do experience these inconsistencies in. Now, the 7th house can deal with contracts as well, and negotiations and like legal matters and legal affairs. So maybe there's going to be some sort of inconsistencies or unstable energy when it comes to maybe contracts. Like let's say you guys are contractors, or maybe you guys do this type of work, and maybe like your contracts aren't necessarily going to be consistent, or they bring through unstable energy. Maybe they switch all the time, maybe it ends abruptly, or something of this sort. So it could manifest in this realm as well. I'm sure you guys get the idea. So these are a few things that can take place for those of you who have Aquarius or Uranus in the 7th house. If you have Aquarius occupying the 8th house, or if you have Uranus occupying the 8th house, the area of life where you may experience instability in could be literally in your intimate life. Okay, so whether it's physical intimacy or whether it is in the area of, let's say, just closeness, so like intimacy on an emotional level, it could be this. Maybe this could bring through a quote unquote unstable spouse. This could manifest in this way as well. So when I say unstable, I feel like right away people think of the extreme version of instability. Like, yes, it can manifest in that way, but sometimes the instability energy could be someone who's not consistent, someone who's not reliable, somebody who switches up at the last minute. Sometimes the Aquarius energy could bring through this. So perhaps in terms of like the spouse or like someone that you're more intimate with, anybody really, it could even be friends. Let's say it's an emotional, intimate type of relationship. Well, in this particular case, these people could bring through instability energy. So they could be unstable, or they might bring instability into your lives. So it could be this. Now, also, this could be in terms of physical intimacy as well. So there could be quote unquote instability in this realm as well. Now, you guys are going to have to read between the lines in terms of like, you know, the physical intimate life and inconsistencies here. Like maybe it's not going to be something that's going to be constant or something of that sort. Maybe you guys get my drift and maybe you don't. Maybe you're not over 18 and you shouldn't be watching this video if you don't get what I'm saying. But yes, it could manifest in this way as well. Now, also, because the 8th house can deal with money, even though it's other people's money, having Aquarius in the 8th house or even Uranus in the 8th house could bring through unexpected money, okay, or instability when it comes to money. So again, maybe you have a lot of money, maybe you don't have a lot of money anymore, maybe you got a lot of money again. So I'm sure you guys get the idea here. So these are a few things that can take place for those of you who have Aquarius occupying the 8th house. If you have Aquarius occupying the 9th house or Uranus in the 9th house, the area where you guys may experience instability in is going to perhaps be in the area of the higher education. So maybe it's going to be, let's say if you guys wanted to go do your bachelor's or your master's or even like a PhD, like the higher education, the higher learning, there could be some sort of disruption here or instability here. So maybe you start it and then maybe you guys get distracted along the way. Maybe you guys have to stop. Maybe it could be for money reasons. Maybe you guys have a kid. Maybe you guys get married. Honestly, it could manifest so many different ways, but there could be some sort of abrupt disruption when it comes to your schooling. Or maybe, you know, you guys finish your high school and maybe take a break and maybe go traveling. Maybe then you work, and maybe later on in life, you guys decide, okay, now I want to do my higher education, my higher learning, my bachelor's degree, maybe it's a master's degree, maybe it's a PhD. So yes, there could be some form of instability here when it comes to the higher education. Now, the other way that this could manifest as well could be in terms of your belief system. So there could be instability here in terms of your belief systems, or even your religious beliefs, or even like beliefs around philosophies and these types of things. So for example, let's say you guys were raised maybe in a very religious household. Well, there could be inconsistencies or gaps when it comes to the belief systems here that maybe you guys are trying to understand, like, what does this mean? Because a lot of the time, especially religion, can put people into cognitive dissonance if you really start thinking about it, because there definitely are inconsistencies and things that aren't explained. Sometimes in religions, they say that is just the way that it is, you know, and then people kind of just follow that, but then they're living in a state of cognitive dissonance because they don't actually understand what it is that they're reading. They're just kind of following it blindly, and that's the struggle with religion. But anyways, that's going to be a different video for a different date. So there could be inconsistencies here, okay, or instability when it comes to your belief systems. So it doesn't mean it's going to be like this forever. This is important to keep in mind. This could be a period of time until you guys ground the energy. There could be other things taking place in your chart that do ground this energy for you. Aquarius can be unstable, yes, but it doesn't mean that it's going to always be unstable. But it could be. It could bring through instabilities. Like, it's up to the person. Personally, I feel like we are meant to transcend our natal charts. So more awareness that we have when it comes to our natal charts and what's going on in there, the easier it is to overcome these energies and not play into them unconsciously, because I find that that's what happens more often than not, especially with people who don't know anything about astrology. But anyways, this is the area where you guys might experience this unstable energy in. Okay, it could also be inconsistent energy as well. It doesn't have to be like instability in the extreme version, although it could be. It could just be inconsistency. So there could be inconsistencies, let's say in your higher education, the higher learning, your belief systems, maybe even something to do with travel, for example. And maybe there's inconsistencies too when it comes to traveling, for example. Maybe you guys do it for a period of time, you take a break, maybe then you travel again. So I'm sure you guys get the idea here. So these are a few ways that the energy can manifest. in terms of the unstable energy when it comes to Aquarius in the 9th house. For those of you who have Aquarius occupying the 10th house, the area where you guys may experience instability in is going to be in the area of career, okay? So this doesn't mean it's going to be everybody. It's always important to look at the entire natal chart, and ultimately the end goal here, the way that I see it at least, is that we are meant to transcend the natal chart. So you don't want to be in this unstable energy forever, okay? And just because you have Aquarius in the 10th house doesn't mean it's always going to be unstable, okay? Sometimes you transcend this without even realizing that you've overcome it. Again, depends on the rest of the energies in the chart. But in terms of quote unquote instability, it could also symbolize inconsistencies as well. So this energy could manifest into an unstable career. For example, maybe you guys switch your careers a lot. Maybe you guys can't really figure out what it is that you want to do. It could be this with Aquarius in the 10th house, or maybe you guys work in some sort of job or career that's always changing. It could manifest in this way as well. That's how the instability energy could come through too. And like maybe you guys are very much used to this and you're very adaptable to this change. It could be this, or it could be some sort of industry that kind of stands in like a shaky ground. So for example, let's say it's like the stock market. For example, like the stock market is up, down, up, down, up, down. If anything is Aquarius energy, it's going to be the stock market is changing day by day. So maybe you guys work in an environment like this, where you guys almost kind of get this high from just like the ever so changing energy and the fast pace of how fast the things are changing within that particular industry. Or it could even be like AI, of course. Aquarius always deals with tech types of things. I mean, that industry currently is changing very quickly too. So this is what I mean. It could be the type of work that you guys do that is quote unquote unstable, or it's always changing, and maybe you guys are used to this and you guys are able to keep up with it. Or your work overall could be unstable. It could be this. Now, what I will say also for Aquarius in the 10th house is that this could have been an unstable father. It could be this as well. So the father could have been unstable. Now, the thing is, when we hear the word unstable, you think that this person is going off the rails. I mean, absolutely could manifest in this way, but also it could be someone who's inconsistent. You know, maybe he would promise you guys a lot of things and not follow up on those promises. Maybe he would say one thing today and then switch his mind tomorrow. And like these types of things, you know, where it kind of brings through this inconsistency energy. So there could be maybe like this like distrust even in like the masculine energy, for example, because of the inconsistent energy connected to the father. But anyways, that might not necessarily be everybody, but it could be this, okay? Because the 10th house can sometimes deal with the father as well. Or maybe he wasn't like a consistent figure in your lives. Like it could manifest in this way, like he was in and out of your lives. Again, not all of this is going to apply to every single person. It depends on the rest of the energies in your natal charts. It depends on the aspects and all of these things. But I'm kind of giving you guys different ideas as to how this energy could manifest. So these are a few things that could take place for those of you who have Aquarius occupying the 10th house. If you have Aquarius occupying the 11th house, the area of life where you guys may have experienced instability in. So Aquarius in the 11th or Uranus in the 11th. The area where you guys may experience quote unquote instability in could be in the area of 11th house types of things. So what could this be? It could be in the area of philanthropy, humanitarianism, friends, communities as well. It could even be maybe anything to do with like tech or like ideas or innovations. I could see this manifesting into someone who's super creative, has a lot of great ideas. But that's the thing, when you have great ideas, you know, sometimes you get one and then it's a long period of time until you get the other one, or maybe you get 3 at once and then there's nothing, and then, you know, a few months down the line you get the next idea. I could actually even see this manifesting into, I'm actually seeing this psychically in my mind's eye, you know, those like writers, like people who like write like stories and so on and so forth, and then they sometimes get like a writer's block. Like that's kind of like the vibe that I'm getting here, okay, for the Aquarius in the 11th house, Uranus in the 11th house energy, like someone who's like super smart, super intellectual, like eccentric, like very creative in this way, but it's like it's not consistent, okay, because it's Aquarius. So it's like it comes through, maybe sometimes you just get one great idea throughout your life. Sometimes it's hard to keep up with the great ideas as well. You'll see this with an artist too. Like sometimes they release an amazing song and it's like that song just like takes over, and then it's sometimes hard to keep up with that level of amazing, of course, but it doesn't stop them from creating. It just perhaps means that they might not create consistently. That's just what it means to be a creative person, okay? Because it depends when the ideas are going to come. And a lot of the time, if you force it, first of all, it's not authentic, but also it's not going to be something that's unique if you think about it, right? Because it's like these ideas that people get, especially creative ideas, they are literally downloads, okay? And personally, I think that they're coming from the other side, but that's gonna have to be a different video for a different day. So these people, Aquarius in the 11th, Uranus in the 11th, like you guys basically have this gift to bring through new ideas, new inventions, and all of these like maybe new tech things, or honestly it could be in any realm, but it's something that's like very unique and ahead of the time. But it might not be consistent, okay? So that's something to keep in mind. And that's the thing with a quote unquote unstable energy. Sometimes I see it as inconsistent energy as well, which basically brings through instability. So it could be this, it could be in like friends, because Aquarius typically does mean friendship, like that 11th house. But personally, I find that it deals with higher minded friendships, like not so much the day-to-day friendships. Like you have different types of friendships with all of the different air signs and houses. But with Aquarius, the way that I see it, it's like communities, people that are gathering together for some sort of larger mission, higher cause. You know, it could be like social activism, these types of things. There could definitely be inconsistency / instability in this realm. So in the realm of higher minded friendships. And that's pretty much the idea here. So these are a few ways that the energy could manifest in terms of instability. For those of you who have Aquarius occupying the 11th house, if you have Aquarius occupying the 12th house, or if you have Uranus in the 12th house, when it comes to the area of quote unquote instability, it could literally be your subconscious. Now, this could always be a struggle because this subconscious energy, because it's the 12th house, sometimes it could be something that's carried over from a previous lifetime. So like this instability energy you could be feeling internally might not be from this lifetime. And that's just because of the fact that the 12th house deals with past lives. But a lot of the time, what I say to you guys is explore this life first and see if you can find your answers in this lifetime. If you can't find the answer in this lifetime, if it's like an irrational fear or something of that sort where there's nothing really rooting it from this lifetime, then most likely it's going to be connected to a previous lifetime, and then you guys can dabble in the previous lives. So always check out this lifetime first. So basically for Aquarius in the 12th or Uranus in the 12th house, the area where you guys might experience this quote unquote instability in could be in the area of your subconscious. Yes, it could also be in the area of maybe your like psychic insight or something of the sort. So maybe like sometimes you guys get these like amazing psychic downloads, but it's not quote unquote consistent. It's not quote unquote stable, because the way that I see it, yes, instability energy could be extreme, like that's there, but also instability energy could be when something is not necessarily consistent. So what does this mean? Well, for example, let's say you guys get these great ideas even, okay? So it could be psychic downloads in terms of like insight, psychic insight, or it could be creative insight as well, because the psychic realm and the creative realm definitely are basically the same realm. So maybe you guys get these like great ideas in terms of like creativity, something you guys want to create. Maybe it's art, maybe it's a book, maybe it is music even. The 12th house can deal with music as well, but maybe it's not consistent. And I kind of use this example when I was talking about Aquarius in the 11th house. The 11th house is more so like techie types of things and innovations and like ideas, like the mind. The 12th house can be creativity in terms of like actual art and music and these types of things. So the example that I gave was, for example, when there is an artist, let's say a musician, and like they kind of create this like amazing song, and maybe that song is kind of like the one-hit wonder type of situation, and they always try to bring through another song. But it's like, this is why it's challenging to be a creative person, because it's like these people can't really work on a clock. I hope that makes sense, because you can't control when the psychic insight or the creative insight is going to come through. So when you have Aquarius in the 12th or Uranus in the 12th, it's going to be really important for you guys to be in a relaxed state, which sometimes is hard when you monetize these things, because it's like then there's the pressure to bring through creative ideas, and then also to try to keep up with like these amazing things that maybe you guys did, like again, like I mentioned, the one-hit wonder, or just like songs that are super great or something of that sort. So it's going to be important for you guys to try to get into that relaxed state, is really what it is, or like the meditative state, where you guys can open up your channels essentially, okay, to allow these ideas to flow through you. But overall, in a nutshell, if we're looking at this just in terms of quote unquote instability or just like inconsistency, because sometimes the way that I see instability is it is inconsistent energy. It's going to be inconsistencies also when it comes to your ideas, when it comes to your creativity as well. And absolutely that could be a struggle if you guys are on a clock or like a time constraint, or like, you know, time is money type of situation. So yes, because you can't really force these things to come through, you can kind of try to induce it energetically in terms of like trying to get into that meditative state, kind of what I mentioned already, or like trying to relax to get the idea to come through. But that's the thing, you know, you never know when the creative thunderbolt, that's the way that I'm seeing it psychically right now as I'm explaining this to you guys, is going to strike, you know? So that's the struggle with Aquarius in the 12th, Uranus in the 12th. Super creative people, you just can't control when the creativity might come through. You can try to, or attempt to, by trying to get more into a meditative state, or like that relaxed state, or the energy where you're not under pressure. But I feel like if you guys put yourselves under pressure or stress, it actually delays the idea from coming through, because it's like you're waiting for it. I hope that makes sense. Like when you're waiting for something, it's like like it's not going to come through that. It's going to come through at the most random time. Like sometimes it's in the middle of the night, you know, in your dream or something of that sort. You wake up at 3 a.m. you get your idea. Sometimes it's when you're cooking. Sometimes it's going to be when you're at the store. Sometimes it's going to be first thing when you wake up in the morning. Sometimes it's going to be when you're brushing your teeth, when you're taking a shower. You know what I mean? So that's just kind of like how the creative insight works. So having Aquarius in the 12th could be quote unquote unstable creativity coming through. And of course, like I mentioned, the unconscious could be unstable, and anything to do with like the psychic realm and the psychic insights you guys receive. So these are a few things that can take place for those of you who have Aquarius occupying the 12th house. So my dear friends, I'm going to wrap up this video here on the area of life where you guys may experience instability in, based on the house you guys have Aquarius in, or even Uranus. I do hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please do like, share, and subscribe, and I hope you all have a beautiful rest of the day.